In the early 1980s, a young actor was making a splash as an up-and-coming star of late-night live television. In his spare time, he was starting to make his move to Hollywood, where his first two movies performed pretty well and he got good reviews. But his next movie was about to send his career into the stratosphere. We'll take a look back at this action comedy classic and what it was like to see it in the theater on opening night on the next Back to the Feature.
Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Hey there, movie lovers. Dwayne here to take you back to when some of the greatest movies you know and love first opened at the theater. We're going to look back at what it was like seeing these movies when they were originally released on the big screen before the internet and social media could ruin the movie for you. If you missed those days, then you're going to like this channel. Please subscribe below and I'll be your host as we enjoy a look back. Now currently, Hollywood will usually release its biggest films in the middle of summer or on Christmas Day. In 1984, one of the biggest films of the year was actually released in early December. It would be the beginning of a 56-week run at the theater, and the movie would hold the top spot for 13 straight weeks.
Eddie Murphy is a Detroit cop on vacation in Beverly Hills.
I just got off the phone with Inspector Todd in Detroit. He says if you're out here investigating the Tandino murder, you needn't bother coming back.
I don't want to take it anymore.
For a man who claims to be on vacation, you look a lot like you're on a stakeout.
Stakeout? No. I'm picnicking. This is like a picnic area. I have to ask you some questions about Michael Tandino. I've never been to a cell that had a phone in it. Can I stay for a while? Because I ordered some pizza.
We have 6 witnesses that say you broke in and started tearing up the place, then jumped out the window.
May I help you?
Yeah. I'm looking for Victor Maitland.
I have nothing to say to you.
How you doing? You guys don't know nothing about nothing, do you? You just got your badges and your guns and you're on the job, right? Make sure we get the right drinks, because if I drink club soda, I'll throw up. You know, this is the cleanest and nicest police car I've ever been in my life. This thing's nicer than my apartment.
Retrospect, you are the pride of your department in Detroit.
It seems painfully obvious you haven't the slightest idea who you're dealing with.
I don't know what y'all think I am. Kill me for some kind of food. Hurry up, quicker!
Crawl back to your little stone in Detroit before you get squashed.
Don't move! Cover me. Police! You're all under arrest!
You do that again, I'll shoot you myself.
Eddie Murphy, Beverly Hills Cop.
That's right, Beverly Hills Cop. It was a huge hit and put his star Eddie Murphy on a whole new level in Hollywood. But before we dive into Beverly Hills Cop, let's talk about the competition it was facing opening weekend. That weekend, there were 3 other movies that came out. First up is 2010, The Year We Make Contact. This was the long-awaited sequel to Stanley Kubrick's 1968 film 2001, A Space Odyssey. 2010 stars Roy Scheider, who was best known for his part in a small little movie called Jaws. You might have heard of it since it made a bit of a splash at the box office. Next up is City Heat, starring Clint Eastwood as a cop and Burt Reynolds as a private investigator who basically hate each other, but have to work together to solve a crime. Eastwood and Reynolds had been huge movie stars up until this point. Plus, this was written by Blake Edwards and directed by Richard Benjamin, so it should have been pretty good. And unfortunately, it wasn't. Fun fact for my local viewers, the story takes place in 1933 Kansas City. And lastly, there was The Initiation, a low-budget movie about an amnesiac sorority member who had been plagued by a horrifying dream her entire life and is stalked by a mysterious murderer in a deserted department store at night. Didn't have much going for it at all. Did you go see any of these at the theater? Let me know down in the comments. Now it's opening night, and here's what I remember feeling while I'm sitting in the theater. Now a lot of movies start off slow and build up to something interesting. Not here. Right from the opening scene, I was hooked. Eddie's character, Axel Foley, works as a Detroit detective and is undercover on a sting operation in the back of a parked semi when two uniformed officers show up and ruin things. The bad guys get scared and take off in the truck, while Axel's still in the back of the trailer that's filled with boxes of stolen cigarette cartons. This begins a wild car chase through the streets of Detroit that starts to resemble something straight out of the Blues Brothers. For the next several minutes, cars are being demolished left and right, and Axel's hanging on for dear life, all to the soundtrack of Neutron Dance by the Pointer Sisters.
There's no money falling from the sky, 'cause a man took my heart and robbed me blind. Someone stole my brand new Chevrolet, and the rent is due, I got no place to stay. Ooh.
This scene told us everything we needed to know about Axel Foley. He's a reckless, fast-talking smartass with street smarts and doesn't feel the need to follow the rules as long as it's in the pursuit of justice. These things are normally bad traits, but in his case, it's also what makes him a good cop. And of course, this also keeps him on thin ice with his boss, Inspector Todd, who's constantly yelling and cussing at him.
Boss, I know what you're gonna say, but
you mind telling me where the fuck you come off going undercover without authorization from me? What the fuck is this all about? You wanna play some fucking bullshit cowboy cop? Go do it in somebody else's precinct.
Don't you wanna hear my side of the story?
What's your fucking side of the story?
Let's hear your side of the story.
Hey, Axel, I'm not taking any more of this shit from you. How much this little stunt of yours is gonna cost this city?
I don't think cost is the issue here, sir. I think the issue should be my blatant disregard for proper procedure.
You damn right, wise ass. The mayor called the chief called the deputy chief just chewed my ass out. You see I don't have any bit of it left, don't you? Where in the fuck did you get a truckload of cigarettes from anyway?
From the Dearborn hijack.
From the Dearborn hijack? That fucking bus went down last week. That truck is supposed to be in the damn pound.
I'm trying to tell you.
Jeffrey, this is none of your fucking business.
This is not my locker.
Listen, Axel. No more of these setups, you understand? You're a good cop. And you got great potential, but you don't know every fucking thing. And I'm tired of taking the heat for your ass. One more time, you're out on the street. Do you understand me?
Boss, let me tell you.
Do you understand me?
Yeah, I understand. Boss, the chief ain't chew it all out. You still got a little ass there.
Don't fuck with me, Axel.
Now that we've been introduced to the main Detroit players, we get into the main storyline. Axel comes home to find someone broke into his apartment. However, the intruder is just Mikey, an old friend from the old neighborhood. He was probably your typical Eddie Haskell in his younger days. He's been in Beverly Hills working as a security guard, a gig that he got from another old friend, Jenny from the block. He's back in Detroit looking to unload some German bearer bonds that he stole from his job. Later that night, a couple of guys jumped him outside of Axel's apartment, where Mikey is executed, and Axel survives with a big bump on his head. Now, since he knows the victim so well, and he was there at the time of the murder, he's not allowed to work the case at all. So he has to take his vacation early, which is a request his boss grants right there, with the warning that if he finds out that Axel's working the case, he'll be fired. So Axel loads up his shitty 1968 Chevy Nova and heads out to Beverly.
Hills, that is. Swimming pools, movie stars.
His first stop is to visit Jenny at her art gallery for more information about Mikey's job. And poor Lisa Eilbacher isn't really given much to do in this movie though. And once he arrives, we get one of the funniest scenes in the entire movie. He meets Serge, who is a frickin' hoot. While he struggles to pronounce Axel's name several times, we find out that he makes a mean espresso, he doesn't find chest hair sexy, and he sells weird-ass art installations at insane prices. Everyone in the theater was cracking up during this scene. It was funny.
How you are doing today?
Hi.
I'm fine. My name is Serge, and how can I help you?
Yeah, I'm looking for Miss Jenny Summers.
She's very busy today. Maybe you give me your name?
My name's Axel Foley.
And what is pertaining?
I didn't understand what you said.
Pertaining, what it's meaning, regarding.
Oh, what's it regarding? I'm an old acquaintance of hers.
Danae, one moment. Don't run and tell me, Summers, that Mr. Ahmed Foley is here to see...
Axel Foley, Axel.
Axel. Foley is here to see her. These are old acquaintances. Donnie, cover this up. It's like the breast of a dog to scrub for the customer. It's not sexy, it's animal.
No, it's not sexy at all.
May I offer you something to drink? Wine, a cocktail, espresso?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
I'll make it myself right back there with a little lemon twist. It's good. You should try it.
No, I'm fine.
I see you look at this piece.
Yeah, I was wondering how much something like this went for.
$130,000.
Get the fuck out of here!
No, I cannot. It's serious because it's very important piece.
Have you ever sold one of these?
Sold it yesterday to a collector.
Get the fuck out of here!
Serious, I said it myself.
Axel does some quick detective work that finds him getting tossed out of a plate glass window and then arrested for jaywalking. At this point, it's pretty clear the big bad guy of the movie is Jenny's boss, Victor Mayland. Once Axel arrives at the very swanky Beverly Hills Police Department, we are introduced to the rest of the main cast. First up is Lieutenant Bogomil, played by Ronnie Cox. Now, I immediately recognized him from another favorite movie of mine, Deliverance. Then we have Sergeant Taggart, played by John Ashton. Now, this dude was new to me. I don't think I'd ever seen him before in anything. And the last member of the gang is Detective Billy Rosewood, played by Judge Reinhold. Everyone in the theater knew this guy. He was Hamilton from Fast Times at Ridgemont High, another great 80s movie. Now that the gang is all together, the police chastise poor Axel for not announcing he was a cop when he was arrested. His excuse, which he repeats throughout the movie, is, "I'm on vacation." Axel eventually admits he's working the case and has set his sights on Victor. Now, of course, they don't believe Victor to be capable of such accusations, since he's an upstanding member of society and all. Axel has learned that old Victor is anything but a good guy. He's a plain old run-of-the-mill smuggler. Now, Axel eventually gets Taggart and Rosewood involved in his escapades, which, unfortunately for them, constantly get them in trouble at work. For some reason, despite possibly throwing their careers in the trash, they just keep tagging along with Axel, and even if that means going to a strip club while on duty. Axel can pretty much get them to agree to anything, as long as he says the magic words.
Trust me.
Now, one of my favorite scenes is when Axel pretends to be Victor's lover and needs to relay some dire medical information to him while he's eating lunch at his country club. Now, I'm not sure how well this scene would play in today's climate, but I thought it was hilarious at the time. Now, Axel, being as reckless as he is, he decides to take Jenny along with him on a little B&E at one of Victor's warehouses while Rosewood waits outside. Since he's a cop and he's on duty, it would look bad if he participated in a felony. And while there, they do find the evidence they need that old Vic is truly smuggling drugs. But, big shocker, they get caught. Victor takes Jenny, leaving Axel to his henchmen, and Rosewood sees Victor leaving with Jenny, and that starts to freak him out. Noticing that Axel never comes out makes him freak out even worse. He can't call for backup because they're not even supposed to be there. It takes him a while to finally go inside and see what's going on, and luckily he saves Axel just before a henchman could kill him. Now that everything is out in the open, Axel and Rosewood race to Victor's Beverly Hills mansion to save Jenny, our damsel in distress, and luckily Taggart was able to track them down and he meets them there. No one calls for backup. It's pretty much, let's just go jump over the wall and get into a shootout with the hired help. And that's pretty much what they do. No one else in the Beverly Hills PD even knows what's going on until they start getting 911 calls about gunfire at Victor's address. Now, the beginning features lots of bullets flying and some comedic moments as Rosewood seems to relish all the mayhem, and Taggart's just trying to not get shot. And everything comes down to a standoff with Victor pointing a gun at Axel and using poor Jenny as a shield. Now Jenny, being from the block, throws a well-timed elbow into Victor's belly, which gives her the chance to get out of the way, providing Axel and Bogomil the opportunity to dish out a little Beverly Hills street justice by emptying their guns into him.
me.
Freeze!
All's well that ends well. Bad guys are dead or going to jail. Good guys all survived, and Bogomil even contacts Inspector Todd back in Detroit to cover for Axel. I walked out of that theater totally loving this movie. Now, I also remember really digging that Detroit Lions jacket that Eddie wore in the movie. And believe it or not, you can actually buy that on Amazon. Now, I enjoyed this movie so much at the theater that whenever it shows up on cable, I will stop what I'm doing and watch it. And every time, instantly, I'm right back in that theater as a teenager. It is still one of my favorite movies. Lots of comedy, lots of action. Plus, this movie has something else to offer that no one ever really talks about. It's very educational. Yes, you heard me correctly. I walked out of that theater knowing things I did not know before. Number one, the name Axel is weird and can be hard to pronounce. Sounds a lot like Ahmed or Akmel. Number two, chest hair is not sexy, men or women. Number three, weird art installations are super expensive and people actually buy that crap. Number four, you could disable a car by stuffing bananas in the tailpipe. And number five, drug smugglers pack their drug shipments with coffee grounds to throw off the search dogs. Now be honest, in 1984, how many of these things did you already know? Now let's talk about the soundtrack. Just like the movie, the soundtrack was a big hit and even won a Grammy. It featured hit singles by Glenn Frey of the Eagles, Patti LaBelle, the Pointer Sisters, Shalimar, and the hit instrumental theme simply named Axel F by Harold Faltermeyer. Now while 2 sequels followed this one, we try not to talk or even think about Beverly Hills Cop 3. Because it was bad. So bad. I still have nightmares. Thankfully, Eddie Murphy is reprising his role in a new sequel 40 years after the debut of the original. Beverly Hills Cop Axel F will debut on Netflix this summer, and yes, they're bringing the original gang back. Well, at least the ones that are still alive and upright. Now, from the trailers I've seen, it looks pretty good. Now, I doubt it will top the original, but I'm willing to give it a watch. If you've enjoyed this trip down memory lane, please hit the like and subscribe buttons below to help grow this channel. I appreciate you taking time out of your day, and I hope you will come back for the next Back to the Future.